Toei Computer Entertainment Europe presents a Universal Interactive Studios production. Developed by Eurocom Entertainment Software. Crash Bash!
If you're anything above 20, or you have a sibling who's above 20, then you definitely have memories with this game. Crash Bash was a different take on the Crash Bandicoot series, where instead of the classic platformer game made by Naughty Dog, Eurocom Entertainment Software decided to make a party game that's made of a bunch of fun mini-games. While the reviews were mixed on this game, and not every classic Crash Bandicoot fan liked it, I personally think this is one of the most fun and entertaining games I have ever played with my friends and family. But as fun as this game is, it is also pretty old. I'm talking PlayStation 1 old. And after getting a Crash Nitro Kart remake, I figured Sony may not want to remake this game. So I decided it was time I took the wheel and remade this legendary game with modern day graphics. If you guys have seen my latest video, then you know that I've recently bought a new PC, meaning now I can make games with more modern day graphics. So for the first time in my life, I made a Unity project, and this time I chose the high definition render pipeline asset. Then I went on creating the prototype by using a bunch of cylinders and cubes. In the original game, we have these sorts of pillars that shoot out a ball into the field. In other words, they are ball spawners. And trust me, this is definitely not the last time you're gonna hear balls in this video, so better be cautious. Anyway, I replicated the ball spawner in the prototype, but the problem is the balls are a bit too bouncy and the fraction eventually stops them from moving. But these balls are nothing I can't handle with a few lines of code. Take a look at this thing. It's supposed to be the player, but it doesn't move, doesn't shoot, and doesn't say no to the balls that are approaching him. In other words, he's useless as fuck. All my friends are toxic, just like me. So with a few magic spells, I made him capable of moving and shooting. So the player's gameplay is pretty much finished. Time to work on the enemy AI. And I gotta admit, I'm kind of a professional at making good AI at this point. I mean, have you seen that
latest game I've made? The AI is flawless.
But enough of me sucking my own dick. I got working on the enemy AI. And after a quick session of coding, I ended up with this red guy, which is also a placeholder for the enemy. And I'm sure this works, but just for demonstration purposes, I tested it out and it works like a charm, of course. Why not? But no, seriously. You can now trace balls and shoot them at you, which is not super advanced, but I'm gonna make him smarter later. For now, I decided to make a list of the tasks that needed to be done. And for the first time, create a plan for myself, because I almost never do it when making video games. Spoiler?
I still didn't keep up.
After some more programming, the enemies are now acceptably smart for this game. Then I don't know what happened, but apparently I went incognito and all out of a sudden made this beautiful scene right here and decided not to record the process. But to summarize it, I downloaded some 3D models, made a bunch of super easy models myself, and added a ton of reflections, post-processing, and so on. I also added these 3D car models, but the driver's missing. So I downloaded some illegal Crash 3D model from web. But don't blame me on that. Have you seen my modeling skills? But this 3D model is no good to us if he's just T-posing. So I decided to rig him up, and I gotta say, whoever made this model, they made sure rigging it was as hard as it could possibly get. Like every time I made a bone and moved it, other unrelated polygons would move alongside with the bone. But after all that pain, I managed to rig him up properly and give him some animations. But suddenly I figured if I were to put different playable characters in this game, then I must rig those and make animations for them as well. Basically repeating this immense trauma once again for every single character. And after almost turning up towards drugs, I realized this model comes with different skins. And different skins almost mean different characters, so I'ma stick to that for now. Then I modeled these scoreboards myself, just like the original, and put them in the game. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the best 3D model I have ever created. Then I put all the characters inside their cars, set up their animations, and here they are in action. But can you tell what is missing in this game? A. Visual effects and particle systems. B. Sound effects and music. C. UI elements and heads-up display. Well, the answer is D.
All of the above.
Because the game looks empty as so I made this shoot particle using Unity's particle system. Then I made these notifiers or indicators that indicate which pillar is going to shoot the ball, just like the original. Then I took a look back at the original game and figured that the ball spawners worked like this. When the amount of balls in the field reach below minimum, in this case the minimum is 1, so if it reaches 0, then one of the spawners shoots out a ball. And if a player receives a goal, the spawner will keep a score of that and store it in a variable called, let's say, x. And if the value of x is equal to the double of the minimum balls, it will increase the minimum balls by 1. Meaning now if there's only 1 ball in the field, it will spawn another. And if there are no balls at all, it won't spawn 2 balls at the same time. Instead, it will spawn them one at a time. That's what I've noticed. Maybe it has a totally different algorithm. Then I followed along with this super useful video in order to make this electric arc, because I've never made a visual effect or shader graph ever before due to my potato laptop respectfully rejecting it. So I recorded a bunch of sounds doing all sorts of stupid things, then edited them and added all the sound and music and gave them this echo effect so that they blend in with the environment a little better. You can find the link to the song I've used in the itch.io page of the game. Then it was time to make the in-game UI, and I gotta say, I kinda cooked? I don't know, but they look good to me. But this game currently has no main menu, so I decided to make one. And no matter how much I tried, it just kept looking cursed as fuck. But anyway, I fixed it and also made sure the menu works well with a controller as well. And now, out of all of these non-existent and unavailable minigames, you can select the only minigame available and play it. But at least you can customize your character. Now to make this same thing work for multiplayer. Oh my god, dude, this shit took me 3 whole days of endless pain and torment. And I'm still not 100% sure if it's always going to work this smoothly or not. So what happened is that I decided to use these player input and player input manager components that are built into Unity and are used mostly for local multiplayer. It's supposed to handle the device configuration, split screen and multiplayer lobby itself. And oh my lord, was that the worst decision I'd ever made. And at some point I decided to use a dictionary, which is a generic collection in C#, which is generally used to store key/value pairs. And that, along with the player input components, f***ed the game up. And I ended up using my own custom-made local multiplayer system and also used a serializable class instead of the dictionary, which was still pretty hard. And I wrote so much of spaghetti code, more than I've ever written. And after all that nightmare, all the advice I can give you is to never use dictionaries and the built-in local multiplayer in Unity. But enough of that, I made the win-lose screen and finished the game and released it for free on itch.io. The first link in the description will take you there. Also, smash the like button enough times on this video and I will hit you up with new modes for the Crash Ball minigame, other minigames remakes, and maybe even totally new and innovative minigames. Hell, maybe I'll make your minigame of choice, or make online multiplayer if possible. Now with all that said, I'm gonna ask you to
Get out of here.